Welcome in another FFPC Weekly Preview. I'm Aidan Liquorie, your host as always. Dave Terp joining me as always. Terp, we're already on to week 9. Season is flying by. Terp, we kind of talked about it the last couple of weeks before we hit record. This is the weirdest fantasy year you've ever seen. I feel like some years you say that this one has to be up there, correct?
I mean, I've been doing this a really long time, and it's got to be up there. I mean, just craziness all around. Injuries to big name guys. I mean, guys who everybody hated, the Josh Jacobs of the world, that are setting the fantasy world on fire. I mean, it's been bizarre.
I mean, I think you said it. One is the dead zone running backs. Everyone was avoid, having really big moments. You have the big name injuries. I think the big thing is compared to past years, every year there's a couple of big waiver wire winners. There hasn't been a single one this year. There's been maybe, like as we said, Deion Jackson, maybe a week or two where he just is a spot start. You haven't had a single guy off of waivers who's been a consistent
There hasn't
threat.
been that like league winner type of guy off waivers. I mean, there's been a couple guys like you said that you could start a week, maybe two. I mean, I think this waivers that we just it was just processed. There's actually some guys on there that I think could be good going forward, but still, it's been tough because with all these injuries, it's not like if you didn't draft well, most likely you're not doing well this year.
Yeah, it's just I think it's a product also. The NFL's having a weird year. There's a couple of really good teams and then a bunch of middling teams.
And there's also a lot of teams, like you said, middling, like the Packers, the Bucks, the Rams, three teams that were supposed to be powerhouses, the Colts, the Chargers. A lot of people said the Raiders, the Broncos. I mean, you get around the list of teams that were supposed to be pretty good, if not the best in the league, and they have not been. They've been terrible.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I would say that has gone to plan is those top end receivers have delivered, and a couple of the running backs that the high stakes community was high on, really McCaffrey and Saquon as two guys who it's like, don't worry about the injury risk. These guys should be top 10, top 5. Obviously, McCaffrey was consensus one, I would say, in high stakes.
I mean,
those guys have delivered.
Taylor people. You took Jonathan Taylor.
Oh, you're in a tough spot. It's just
the hard part, the 1v1, picks that you could have. Like a pick like that, if you took Taylor or McCaffrey, I don't know how you're doing well right now. I mean, because it's not like you could figure out guys on waivers to help you, offset that. I mean, you pretty much got to be close to drawing dead with the Jonathan Taylor team right now.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I am trying to even fathom how they could do it. I guess you may be luck into Tyreek then in that second round, and you go on a receiver run after Taylor. I wonder if some of those teams, like if you went Tyreek and AJ Brown 2-3 after Taylor, and maybe hit on a dead zone running back or Ramondre or Josh Jacobs, but it's a rare scenario that you needed to go right.
Right.
Turk, before we start, just on that topic, is Jonathan Taylor? I wouldn't really say he's a one-hit wonder because he finished strong his rookie year, but is he a one-hit wonder, or is he going to ever get back into that conversation? Because he's probably still going to go first, second round next year, but is it worth it?
I think he still gets in the conversation. I mean, he's not a guy that. I mean, I had maybe 2%, 3% this year, not a ton. It's because I was all in on McCaffrey at that spot, and obviously the receivers, the Jeffersons of the world that were up there. I think there's a chance, but is he ever going to be as dominant as a Derrick Henry type of situation where Derrick Henry just, even on bad teams and bad quarterback play and no receivers, just run for 200 yards when they pretty much all they had to do was stop him last week. So, I think he could be like an end of first round pick, but I don't know. I mean, that offensive line's terrible. They have no quarterback. And that's stuff you got to take into account when you're looking. If you thought Matt Ryan, people thought was gonna be better than Wentz this year, and Colts have been tough to watch.
Yeah, I mean, and we'll see. I can already look forward to those never too early best ball tournament drafts, and I'm sure we'll have some live coverage of just giving people that fantasy coverage in early spring for all our subscribers. Terp, we're gonna jump right into it as always. Friend don't let friends start. Player who's in the top 25 in projected points at their position, who you think is underperforming this week.
I'm pretty sure this guy's in the top 25 this week. I didn't look at the projections, but James Conner will be coming back off injury this week. Should be getting his role back, as the lead guy, I would think, in Arizona. I'm fading him. I faded him all year. I think it's going to be more of a timeshare this week and going forward with Benjamin. Benjamin showed plenty of explosive ability that Conner hasn't shown this year. So to me, I mean, obviously this week is tough with buys. I mean, people say buy Mageddon and all this, cool names that are going around with all the, the big name teams that are off this week. So James Conner's a guy you're probably going to have to start, but there's guys that I would start in a gamble over him. Rashad White, like guys like that give you more upside over James Conner.
Yeah, I'm going to go with a big name coming off a 1 catch for 3-yard performance. Davante Adams. The Raiders offense looks out of sync. I've been actually on Davante Adams a lot. He was my wide receiver 3 going into the year. I was incredibly high on him. Hasn't really panned out, although he has been solid. He's been a top 10 receiver. As I said, 1 catch for 3 yards. Hasn't had a touchdown in 3 straight games. Raiders offense looks disjointed. Carr's having almost a career worst year. But the big thing is playing Jacksonville. Davante Adams probably going to get the Tyson Campbell shadow matchup. Tyson Campbell has been money this year. Hasn't given up more than 50 scrimmage yards. He shut down Sutton. He shut down Mike Williams. That worries me a bit. I know Davante Adams is one of the best receivers in the league, but that matchup worries me paired with the struggles by that Raiders passing offense.
What the hell was that last week?
Oh my, it was brutal to watch. Even just everything. I'm a Daniel Carlson owner in a ton of leagues. So just like,
oh my, I'm like, he's a safe kicker.
Yeah. Best kicker in the league, it feels like. He gives you like 9, 10, and then bagel for him.
Big leg, and you get a 0 from it. That's frustrating.
It is very frustrating. So I guess some would say, oh, Adams is probably due for a touchdown or a breakout game. He hasn't really had one in a while, but I'm just continuing to fade him. I'm concerned about the matchup, concerned about that offense immensely. That Chiefs Monday night game seems to have broken the Raiders a bit in their inability to pull that one out, and they've been poor since. Terp, we're still hunting for the 2 touchdown guarantee. Can we deliver some winners? I feel good about mine, even though it's out of left field. I want to hear yours though first.
Mine's not out of left field. I feel like this is the week where Justin Jefferson goes nuts. I just don't nothing about the Commanders secondary at all worries me. Jefferson, I think he has 1 touchdown so far this year. I mean, he's having a great fantasy season, but he's definitely not getting the touchdowns that he normally gets. I feel like this is the week where he just goes absolutely ape shit and I could see him getting 3 touchdowns. I just feel like the Vikings are, it's a very big game for them to try to stay in the home field, discussion with the Eagles in the NFC. And I feel like this game could be a little more high scoring than you think. And Jefferson will be the biggest, beneficiary of that.
It took the words right out of my mouth. We don't share our picks before because we kind of like surprise each other. I was debating Jefferson, but I'm like, I'm going to go out of left field. Adam Thielen is my 2 touchdown guarantee of the week. Similar reasons. Commanders pass defense 24th in the league right now. Fantasy wise, just porous. Adam Thielen only has 2 touchdowns. Jefferson, he said, only has 1. He also has a rushing one. Surprising with that offense, and it has been pretty successful how little those top 2 have. I'm going to go with Thielen. I think he's due for similar reasons against the Commanders. I also think that game is more high scoring than maybe people are anticipating. I think Thielen has a little bit of a bust out game. I think Jefferson also very, very well can contend. At minimum, we're both saying I think one of those top 2 Vikings receivers gets in the end zone twice against the Commanders. Terp, you all must have forgot who's a guy that people aren't talking about enough this week who's low on those projected points.
We talked about the free agency this week that just got done, and a guy that pretty much has been on no radar at all this whole season and really shouldn't have been because he's not really that good. But opportunity is there. Demarcus Robinson, Bateman out for the year. Andrews probably not going to play. He's going to get plenty of opportunity, against the Saints on I think it's Sunday night they play.
Monday night.
I could see him going for like a 5 for 75 and a touchdown. I mean, he got a lot of targets last week when Bateman went out. Jackson's going to be throwing the ball. I mean, and it's just pretty much him and Duvernay and probably Likely. So I think this could be the week where if you were desperate at receiver with all the guys that are off, he's a guy you can plug in confidently, and he definitely won't hurt you this week.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Khalil Herbert. Of the Bears. It's crazy watching those games because Herbert seems like he outplays David Montgomery. Better. He got more carries last week. 2 weeks ago, he went 12 for 62 and had a 25-yard receiving touchdown against the Patriots. And then last week against the Cowboys in a game they were playing catch-up in, he actually outtouched David Montgomery, or had more carries, 16 for 99 and a touchdown. He didn't get his first carry until the second quarter, against the Cowboys, but once they kind of, as I said, started playing catch up, he was kind of more the focal point. They're playing Miami, which could very well be a game where they need to come from behind again. Give me Khalil Herbert. At some point, it just feels like we overestimate NFL coaches sometimes, and what we can see that one player is clearly better, but they don't do it. I'm also banking that they at some point continue running Herbert more, as he's shown much more promise in Montgomery. So give me Khalil Herbert this week to continue with his trend of solid performances. I don't know if he's ever going to have a breakout, massive game with Montgomery as long as Montgomery is healthy, but I think he's going to have a consistent double-digit 13, 14 plus.
So much of a better player.
So much of a better player. I mean, a lot of people were predicting that he would be the starter by year end. He's certainly getting usage to be fantasy relevant, but it hasn't been that full-time starter role. Terp, as always, our big one, play of the week. Who's your play of the week this week?
This is a little bit of a chalky one, but it's the one that the moon is there. And we know beginning of the season who my guy was. Travis Etienne. I just feel like you saw last week what Alvin Kamara did against this defense. I don't see there being any downside to Travis Etienne this week. I hope I don't jinx this because I have done that on this show before. I mean, he's a guy that, we've talked about being highly invested in before the season, and now he's just that good, and he's really starting to take off. I feel like he's going to have that monster, RB1 performance this week and just pound the Raiders.
I mean, but barring an injury to ETN, I would say your preseason prediction, it was slow getting there, but it was achieved of your all-in on ETN because he's delivering now. Should have been kind of really from the first couple weeks of the season. It took a bit for the Jaguars to get there, but he has absolutely delivered. I'm going to go with Gerald Everett, simply because Chargers, Mike Williams.
I got cute with this with Harrison Bryant last week. It didn't work out.
Here's the thing, though. Gerald Everett's shown a little more than Harrison Bryant has this year.
Sure has.
Mike Williams is out. Keenan Allen isn't practicing. He's looking likely that he's going to be out. Josh Palmer's coming back from, I believe, his second concussion in a short time frame. Who knows how he's going to do? So DeAndre Carter was a popular pickup this week. I mean, that's who we're riding with. Gerald Everett's gotten 7 targets his last couple games. Herbert knows him as a reliable target. He's looked good in that offense. He very well could be their top receiver this week. I think he gets peppered with targets. Someone's got to catch the ball. They're playing the Falcons, so someone's going to go off. This very well could end up just being a massive Eckler game, assuming he plays. It could be a weird spot if Eckler doesn't play, although it sounds cautionary as of our recording this on Friday afternoon. But yeah, give me Gerald Everett as a play of the week. I think he's a monster week. I would put him as a top 5 tight end easily this week. So Terp, that's going to do it for us. As always, a quick little show for the people just sharing our top picks. We'll be back next week for week 10. We wish everyone following along a good week. Hope you score points in bunches. That's going to do it for myself, Terp. And we'll see you guys.